Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and this afternoon I just want to do a brief video on the record-breaking heat we're seeing across North America at the moment. Many of you may have seen on Twitter or on the news records being broken in Northwest United States of America and into Canada as well. Now, it's actually starting to make mainstream headlines as well, as it really is exceptional what is happening there at the moment. And considering it is June as well, when generally in the Northern Hemisphere we see the hottest temperatures in July and August. So, many people will be wondering what is causing this very significant heat. Now, it's about 15 to 20 degrees above average, Celsius above average, which is quite a big temperature anomaly. Now, it's been caused by something that the media will call sort of heat dome, is what sort of the referencing I've been seeing going around. Basically, it's just referring to this big area of high pressure, which is stagnant over northwestern America and sort of west Canada as well. Now, you can see here on the latest GFS, the 500 HPA pressure charts, and with high pressure, with this very stagnant high pressure, what we see is descending air. Now, in this area of America, we do have very hot air masses. So if we do have a look at the 850 HPA temperature, with very hot air masses originating over the deserts of sort of Arizona, Nevada, and into California, New Mexico, Colorado, where we see temperatures at 850 HPA get widely to 30, 35 degrees, pretty much for a good few months in the summer. That's because of the strong sunshine, desert conditions, and it just means that air is really allowed to build with its heat. Now, what we're seeing is this area of high pressure is built over towards northwestern America into parts of Canada. And what it's doing is it's dragging in southeasterly winds. So it's dragging in that very hot air from the south. But under the area of high pressure, it's sort of boxing it in this small area. You can see out to sea it's much cooler, and then eastwards it's much cooler as well into parts of sort of Michigan, Illinois, much cooler indeed, heading out towards sort of the Great Lakes area. Now, what we normally see in sort of Oregon, Washington, is sort of a westerly airflow, similar to what we see in the UK, where the potential is always there for very cold conditions and very hot conditions. But because we are next to an ocean, the Atlantic in the UK, and for northwestern America, the Pacific, we generally see westerly winds and westerly breezes coming in off the ocean, cooling temperatures down. So in many areas where we're seeing now 45-degree temperatures, we normally see around 30 degrees for highs. But because of this massive high-pressure system, it's meaning winds are light, and it means the air is stagnant. So we're not seeing any mixing of air. So there's none of this cooler air out in the ocean is mixing in. So we're seeing this heat really build up in these states. And it just means temperatures are just going to skyrocket. Luckily, though, the humidity is very low. Because the air is originating from the deserts in the south, and it's not mixing in with any moisture off the Pacific, it means the air's dry humidity levels around 10 to 20%. And the dry heat is much less dangerous. Now, it can still cause issues. You still can get heat stroke, severe sunburn, but when we've got high humidity, it means sweating is more inefficient, and it means it can overwhelm the body much faster. So luckily, it is a dry heat, so it's not as dangerous, but still really quite exceptional conditions. So if we do run through the GFS, we'll just run it through. You can see the heat really builds over the next few days. Tuesday probably is looking at the peak. You can see the extreme band of temperatures heading up. But as we head through to Wednesday, you start to see that heat getting pushed away by low pressure systems trying to bring in some cooler air. And eventually you see that high pressure eventually gets sort of broken down. And we do see that heat sort of going back to central areas. And you can see along the coast, we've got more of a northwesterly wind, bringing in cooler conditions to these areas with 20-degree difference. in temperatures. So as you get towards day 10, generally many central areas where we're used to seeing that's 30 or 40 degree heat. That's what we're going to be seeing. And if you have a look at the pressure charts as well, it's not as quite high pressure, so there's going to be more mixing of air, less stagnant. So even though the upper air temperatures are as warm, we still see 30, 35, maybe 40 degrees in central areas. But if we do run back right to the start and we do have a look at the 850 HPA temperature deviation, you can see how the very hot air that usually around sort of Nevada, New Mexico, Colorado is been displaced much further northwestwards, and you can see the extreme temperature contrast. You can see it's still hot down in the south, but it's not quite as hot as it normally is, as that air has just been displaced and is stagnant under that high pressure. Now, this is a snapshot from Weather Nerds of that high pressure, which is completely stagnant. You can see extreme heights sitting over sort of northern Washington, sitting down to Oregon, into parts of Canada as well. And it just means the air is completely stagnant. You can see there's a brief area of low pressure trying to push in, but really not going to make any difference. You can see the winds are coming from a straight northerly direction around this area of high pressure, not impacting any of these states where the wind is actually coming from a southeasterly direction, in off the dry plains and from the deserts in the south. It just means these temperatures are going to be exceptional. This is also a snapshot of the 850 HPA temperatures from the Weather Nerds as well. Just a more zoomed in version. You can see how this heat really is building. It's massive temperature contrast to cooler air further eastwards and cooler air just further westwards as well. You can see out over in the Pacific, temperatures are much cooler, and all you need is that wind to veer into a westerly direction, and it's going to push that air away much faster and can cool temperatures down quite significantly. Now, this is a very, very rare sort of event to get this sort of coinciding where we see this massive high pressure build while we have very hot air over the top. And it sort of stagnates for days. If we saw this for a day or two, we may see temperatures get up to 40 degrees or so. But because it's building, we're likely to see today and tomorrow the potential of mid to high 40s, so 45, 46 degrees, which is sort of truly exceptional, sort of almost the hottest places on Earth at the moment. Probably the hottest concentrated, where there's concentrated inhabitants. So we could see these temperatures in deserts, but not many people live there. But these areas are quite densely populated, got some major cities, so it's quite difficult conditions there, and it's not equipped for these temperatures. Not got widely AC units. I think I saw a stat where only 50% of buildings had AC compared to 80 or 90% in areas further south, in California, Nevada, Arizona, where these temperatures are more likely. So yeah, that's the big issue with it. And if we finally have a look at the GFS ensembles, this is the latest, the 6 o'clock run. It hasn't quite fully come out yet, but it's the 850 HPA and temperature, 850 HPA temperature and precipitation. You can see at the moment, 850 HPA temperatures in Portland. It's about 30, maybe getting up to 31, 32 degrees over the next few days, and then it slowly does build, slowly does seep away as some air starts to mix in off the Pacific, before temperatures return to around average, which is around 10 degrees at 850 HPA, which is sort of like UK 850 HPA temperatures. So that just gives you it just shows you how hot it can get. And just to say, when we saw our record-breaking heat over the last few years, well, we've almost got to 40 degrees, 39 degrees, I think it was last summer. Our 850 HPA temperatures, we're getting to around 23, 24, 25 degrees. Difficult to say exactly what it did get to, but forecasts were around 24, 25 degrees. And I think a weather balloon sent by the Met Office down in Exeter got up to, I think, 23 or 24. So that's what 850 HPA temperatures we've seen in the UK before, and it's good 5 to potentially 10 degrees warmer than that in Northwest America at the moment. If we do have a look at the 2 meter temperatures, you can see potentially your 45 or 46 degrees today, before temperatures slowly cool down to around 30, 35, before getting to around sort of average conditions, which is around 30 degrees, with daytime lows of around 10 to 15 degrees, which is a lot more manageable. Now, UV levels are high. This sort of area where we're seeing this heat wave is sort of on the same latitude as the UK in general. It's difficult to say exactly, but generally it's on the same latitude. So high UV levels, strong sunshine makes them very oppressive and dangerous conditions if you are out during the peak of the day. Just wanted to show this as it really shows you some of the exceptional conditions we can get where sort of the stars aligned and all factors do come together. We can see very hot conditions in quite a wet sort of area of America. Northwestern areas are notable for their rain, especially during winter, of sort of days where you don't see the sun, with a lot of cloud. So truly exceptional to be seeing these conditions. Now, yesterday we saw the all-time high in Canada of 45, I think 0.5 degrees, rounded to 46 degrees. Many parts of Northwest America have been seen June highs, and a few areas have seen all-time highs as well, sort of local all-time highs. Now, again, we're not going to break the American all-time high, which I think is around 51 or 52 degrees, recorded in Death Valley, in the deserts of America, but we're going to get around 5 to 6 degrees, close to that. Around 45, 46, maybe 47 degrees is possible, but it's really because this heat has built. Truly exceptional conditions. Many would say it's sort of once in a lifetime, but we're seeing a lot of once in a lifetime events over the last few years. Many people will say climate change, but looking at what's caused these conditions, you can't really say climate change has attributed to this or contributed to this. Whether we've had 1 or 2 degrees warming over the last sort of 50 years, if we hadn't had those 1 or 2 degrees warming, it still would be in the 40s, regardless of what has happened with the climate. So, yes, climate change may have made this a couple of degrees hotter than it would have been 50 years ago, but this sort of climate and this sort of weather patterns is always going to create some very, very hot temperatures. So it really is an exceptional event, and it really is one for the record books. Just interesting to see what can really happen. The nearest event we've seen to this in the UK would probably be summer 2018, when we saw a similar sort of heat dome over the top of the UK. Now, because the UK is surrounded by water, we do get our winds from, that year we got our winds from the south or southeast. Still has to cross some water, still does get mixed up a little bit in the Atlantic and the North Sea, and that meant temperatures, daytime high temperatures in London over July 2018 was 29 degrees, not sort of 40 degrees we're seeing in Northwest America, but that's sort of a similar event we saw in the UK. Where summer 2018 we saw exceptionally hot conditions for quite a long period of time because we saw a similar sort of heat dome, high pressure system, which just parked over the top of the UK and didn't move for a few weeks. Now, it does look like this high pressure is going to move and break down, and we're going to see some cooler conditions come in within about the next week or so, slowly coming in, but it does look like it's going to be cooling down for the next 7 to 10 days. So just wanted to show you this video because it's truly exceptional conditions, and I do like to have a look at some exceptional events over the whole world. So yeah, really interesting to see this, and I hope we don't see something like this happen in the UK anytime soon, where we do get a big sort of heat dome. It doesn't look like it this summer with the increasing sort of cut-off lows we're seeing at the moment with thunderstorms in the south, and I'll update that on the video later. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video, probably this evening.